One thank you I'd like to say is to the Tav team. The Tav HaYosher team is Shmuley and Donnie and Michal Brickman and now Shlomi Cohn and Ari Hart in Israel, who have literally volunteered thousands of hours to make the Tav HaYosher a reality. I'd also like to thank Tav HaYosher compliance officers, people like college students in Princeton and in Maryland and in Warnow and Columbia, professionals like Karen Fleisch, who goes visits restaurants during her lunch hour, and really people who have taken effort to hit the streets to make sure that Jewish ethics are enforced in kosher restaurants. I'd also like to thank all the different supporters, people who have donated for this cause. This is a total volunteer effort. We don't accept $1 from any restaurant. In fact, there's just an article in the forward which says that we don't accept any drinks. If a restaurant owner tried offering us drinks, we never accept any drinks. So I'd like to thank all of you for your support. I'd also like to thank kosher restaurants themselves, people like Noam over here at Cafe 76, for being visionaries and saying that they really care about kosher ethics, Jewish ethics, and making sure that not only do they care about kashrut, but they care about yashrut as well. I'd like to thank our Jewish organizations who have used their catering budgets to use as leverage to make sure that kosher restaurants have a financial incentive to have the Tav HaYosher. To date, we have about 15 different organizations like American Jewish World Service, who have said that they will use hundreds of thousands of dollars of their budget to reward kosher restaurants that do have the Tav HaYosher. And last but not least, I'd really like to thank all the workers. We don't have a worker. We have some people who were setting up here before, but really the thousands of workers who service the kosher restaurant industry, who do the work to make sure that we are able to live the lives that we live, and we don't always have a chance to say thank you. A very powerful moment for myself was I was in Chicago in the bottom of a hotel where there were 50 people putting together 3 or 4 different events, and I went over to each one of them and I just said thank you for all the work that you do for the Jewish community. And for me, that was an extremely powerful moment. I'd like to give a brief rundown of tonight's evening. We are lucky and fortunate to hear from some amazing speakers. Our first speaker will be Stu Loser, who is Mayor Bloomberg's press secretary, and he will be delivering greetings from Mayor Bloomberg. Rabbi Joseph Tulushkin, really one of the foremost commentators and experts on Jewish ethics and law, will be speaking. Diana Ginsburg, who is the executive director of the Magbeit Tzedek, a visionary Israeli NGO who has been on the forefront of Judaism and ethics, will be speaking. Shlomi Cohn, who is now the chief operating officer of the Tav HaYosher, and of course, Dani Kaza and Shmuley Yinkowitz will be speaking as well. I'd like to say also that people are still getting home from work, so as we continue tonight's program, there will be people trickling in throughout. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Stu Loser. Stu is a friend and advisor who's been very helpful in navigating a whole bunch of issues, and he's also the mayor's press secretary. In that capacity, he is one of the people who formulates the mayor's agenda and is one of the mayor's closest advisors. There's actually a recent article said that Stu used to spend most of his hours actually in the mayor's company, and Stu has some greetings from Mayor Bloomberg. Thank you, Stu.
We actually have all or almost all the city council at Gracie Mansion for dinner tonight. So I'm sorry that the mayor couldn't be here. I'm going to leave after I give these greetings to join them. Probably not be as good or as interesting a dinner. Anyway, that said, a letter from the mayor which says, "Dear friends, it is a great pleasure to welcome all those attending tonight's celebration of the expansion of the Tav HaYosher hosted by Erlen Tzedek. Erlen Tzedek is an outstanding example of how a group of dedicated rabbis, educators, and activists can make a positive difference in the lives of those they are called to serve. Especially during these tough economic times, it's vital that organizations like this one continue to educate people about important social institutions and train the next generation of leaders to address the challenges faced by their communities. I'm proud to join in applauding their efforts to increase transparency in kosher restaurants in states from New York to Illinois. Our administration is also committed to providing diners with as as much information as possible when choosing how to spend their hard-earned money, whether in posting calorie counts or our new letter grade system for restaurant health inspections. It's in the same spirit that we count Early Lives Etiquette as a partner in helping customers make the best decisions for themselves and their families. On behalf of all New Yorkers, I offer my best wishes for an enjoyable event, a productive dialogue, and much continued success. Sincerely, Nicola Goodwill, Mayor.
Thank you, Sid.
Right. Best regards.
Okay, as people are trickling in, it's a tremendous honor to introduce the next speaker, who just left the room. Rabbi Talishkin, I think we all know Rabbi Talishkin, really is a native of New York, at least so the websites tell me. Went to Flatbush for high school, went to Columbia for college, has been doing so much in between in terms of been extremely prolific, written many books that I'm sure many of us have on our shelves. Works at Claw, involved in a shul in LA, and so much beyond. On a more personal note, in addition to sitting just across from Rabbi Talishkin in shul uptown, I would say that it's rare that one gets to publicly thank someone who was so formative in their development without even knowing it. I shared with Rabbi Talishkin once that in the most crucial stage of my own religious searching, Rabbi Talishkin's works were one of the most crucial pieces of learning that really influenced what I became. And actually, what's interesting is that my English name, I don't share this publicly, is Sean, and I go by Shmuley publicly. And Rabbi Talishkin told me that he has a joke he tells about a Sean that becomes a Shmuley. And it just so happens that he didn't know my story, but his works were really crucial in that. And so I've always been concerned that when you're obsessed with certain inyanim, that you lose friends. You know, you're obsessed with justice. Like, who wants to hang out with that person? You know, like all you talk about is justice. Like, you're not fun to hang out with. And you start to wonder. So Rabbi Talishkin is obsessed with Jewish ethics, and that gives me koach to say that when we believe so much in something, we should really stick to it. We should teach it and speak it, and it really can transform lives. So with that, Rabbi Talishkin is going to give a shir on Torah and workers and the like. And it's a chance to really, that Rabbi Talishkin's schedule is so packed, and to come tonight and support this means so much to us. So with that, please come up.
You know, ultimately, I'm going to come closer because there's a lot of noise here. But, you know, ultimately you tend to know an organization through the people whom you meet. And it really is because of meeting Shmuley that I learned about the work being done here. And a wonderful public presence for the organization. I want to be on the briefer side, but I want to speak about three texts that offer perspectives on Jewish ethics in general, the significance of them in Jewish teachings, the notion of compassion for employees, and the significance of paying people on time. Now, there are enough rabbinical students or rabbis or others here who might know, so I'm going to pose a question, but if you actually have prior knowledge of the answer, please don't answer. There's a famous passage in the Talmud, you know, where a non-Jew asks Hillel, "Convert me that you can teach me the essence of Judaism while I'm standing on one foot," and that's when Hillel answers, "What's hateful unto you, don't do unto your neighbor." On the same page of the Talmud, the rabbis conjecture on one of the first questions we're asked after we die and come before the heavenly court. If you know the answer, please don't answer. But if you don't know the answer, what would you imagine the Talmud might answer? Or what occurs to you to be an appropriate answer? Now I scared off everybody who knows the answer. And if you don't, I'm a pretty nice guy. I'm not going to make fun of any answers anybody gives. Anybody, what would you think would be an appropriate first question? You die, God forbid, and you come before the heavenly court. Yes? Okay, we have a cheater in the audience, or a reincarnated spirit of one of the rabbis. I assume that answer did not occur to you at this moment. Okay, so the first question the rabbis say is going to be Nasata v'natata v'emunah, to carry out your business affairs honestly. Now, it's very fascinating that they offer that first. Years ago, I wrote a book on Jewish humor, which which was called Jewish Humor, in which I tried to analyze